What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are here today for another edition of the Tuffy Talk live show. Looking forward to an exciting episode today. Make sure for those who are tuning in with us, again, just send us a comment. Let us know you all are here. But again, with that being said, we got a lot to talk about today. As we got NC State football recruiting to start with. Huge weekend. We're going to be kind of talking about it, breaking it down a little bit, and then also talking about some of the other big news over the week. But with that being said, we're usually actually do our Tuffy's weekly rewind, but we're actually going to do something different. We're actually going to jump into Tuffy's tweets of the week and kind of change this up a little bit here. So that being said, here we go. All right. So first one, just gonna get something off my chest here. So so
like, I'm going
to start it off by talking about so just to kind of give a little bit of background on this week. So basically, a year ago when we went to Doak to welcome the team back from the College World Series, my wife and I made a poster that said 2021 CWS champions, and so what I did on Thursday, I think it was, basically tweet out saying, just as a reminder of who the real 2021 College World Series champs were, and put that picture out there, etc. Well, of course, there was all these UNC fans that were commenting on it saying, you never wanted, just like NC State fans to claim a game they didn't even compete in or whatever it is. And so this is one example of a tweet from a UNC fan saying NC State still had to win 3 more games to be national champions. Yes, they were unfairly robbed of that chance, but let's not get carried away and call yourselves champions just because you started 2-0 in Omaha. And just as a reminder, just again, I know we can't talk too much about last season because it was 2 seasons ago, but obviously it's tough to really kind of move on from it, because obviously we're a year away. We're looking at the College World Series right now. We're watching teams like Notre Dame, Ole Miss, have these, great runs like they've been having. And it's like, so, kind of a little bit of, I guess, FOMO, I guess is maybe the word here. But so just as a quick reminder, obviously, that we got just plain up smacked game 1 against Arkansas in the Super Regional, right? Get straight up smacked. And then from then on out, I don't think anybody, many people thought that we were going to come back and win that series. But, what if I would have told NC State fans that after that, you would have had to have faced Kevin Kopps twice, who won basically pitcher of the year. You would have to face Stanford's Friday starter and probably one of the best ace pitchers in the country in Brendan Beck, who went 55th overall in the draft. And then you would have to face Jack Leiter, who if I'm not mistaken, was the number 2 overall.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, Jack Leiter.
I think that commentator
the number 2 overall pick
about Jack Leiter.
Yeah, right. So you'd have to face those guys. You'd have to face Kevin Kopps twice, Brendan Beck once, and then Jack Leiter. And if I told you we won all 4 of those games, just basically prove the point that there was no team hotter than us. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, how embarrassing almost is it of Vanderbilt that literally the NCAA told us we have 13 players. It's not like we got to choose 13 players. They basically said, here are your 13 players. Best of luck to you. And got handed to us. And we still went out there and faced the number 2 pitcher for Vanderbilt, who I think would have been 95% of teams' number 1 pitcher. And we still were basically 1 hit away. We had, I think it was I'm blanking on our catcher's name. I'm sorry, from last year. Luka Tresh on second. Yep. Johnny Butler on first. Down 3-1 with Devontae Brown at the bat in the bottom of the 9th. So we literally had an opportunity. Devontae Brown could have crushed one like he did the entire postseason last year and would have won that game. And it still even peaks to me like, what if we would have won that game? What would have happened?
If they would have, would that have been the greatest college baseball game ever?
It still is, I think. It's still one of the best I've ever seen, no doubt about it. It's still up there.
Yeah, I think it's in the conversation. It still is, but I'm thinking like if it had happened where you did win, I think
it'd be one of the biggest upsets of all time, I would say.
Especially I think it'd be legendary. I think
the whole thing was insane because our starting pitcher that day, Garrett Payne, had thrown all of, I think, of like 8 innings the whole season. Arguably our best pitcher was playing first base and went 3 for 4. I mean, you can
A
just
guy
go
like
down.
Eddie Isert playing who never played. I can remember his name. I can't remember who else played that day. But
Well,
I mean,
you had Carson Falskin, who had played like 4 games all season, starting at second, had a great bunt in that game. But yeah, and you forgot to mention Vanderbilt's number 2 went number 8 overall in the MLB draft to the Mets.
Yep.
So it wasn't like he was a scrub number 2, like you're saying.
No,
like Justin says here in the comments, we can be co-champions. I'm fine with that. There's only 2 teams that didn't lose twice in the College World Series: Mississippi State and NC State. So I'm fine with co-champions.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and that's why again, I just feel that, especially for us, that I mean, I have no issues whatsoever with saying that we're champions, because at the end of the day, I don't think that there's many people that know baseball that if State was able to play, even if they were to play the next game against Vanderbilt, winner takes all, and the winner goes to face Mississippi State, we're probably going to go win it all, to be honest with you. We're just red hot. Evan Justice is killing it. Sam Highfield's hot as ever. You still got Chris Villa, man. You're going to have Reed Johnston, our senior pitchers back. The batting lineup is hitting like there's no tomorrow. So, again, I understand that at the end of the day, we're still a little bit away, but again, just how hot we were and how nobody wanted to face us at that point. Nobody wanted to face us.
Can we go back to the tweet, though? There are multiple UNC basketball championships that they claim, and there was no true champions back in I think it was like the 30s or something like that. There was no NCAA, so they claim these titles, right? There was no sanction, so get out of here with that.
Yeah, exactly. Just want to throw it out there. But now we can again, that was more just from me, because I need to get that off my plate, just because obviously there was a lot of UNC fans, which again I love. I'm glad that we get under UNC skin. Hey, that's a beautiful thing. What'd you say?
What?
I was jokingly said you love UNC fans before I was like,
no.
One last thing, one last thing on the College World Series. All that stuff is like popping up on my timeline from Facebook, and I'm just like just going back through the memories, and that's when I met you, Leighton, and just all of the awesomeness that was for that week. The NCAA can take away our chances to win the title, but they can never take the memories that we made that week. So those are a lifetime of memories that I will take to the grave with me. So the NCAA Absolutely. Can shove it.
Amen to that. Amen. Now for the more fun side of the College World Series, got to bring up this tweet. So Dylan Schroet tweeted out basically a quote tweet of this College World Series Jello shot challenge, which for those who don't know, basically there's this bar right beside the stadium that sells Jello shots, and they started basically a standing. So that way, basically, if you buy a Jello shot from them, they ask what team you are, or you want it for, and then and then what they do is they just add it up, and then whoever. Like it's basically just a challenge. It's basically a way just for the business to get more business by making it a competition of which team can buy the most Jello shots. And so I mean, like literally on this scoreboard, you see like Arkansas that's bought 3,400 Jello shots so far. You see Ole Miss that's bought 2,700. Like every single team has at least 220. Or sorry, Stanford has 93, but most of them have at least 200 Jello shots bought so far. And so Dylan basically quote tweeted and said because it was $4.50 per shot. So if at $4.50 per shot, this restaurant has already raked in $35,649
just from Jello shots.
Genius, just from Jello shots. So
probably cost pennies to make each.
Oh yeah.
Well, so and if you noticed in our chat that's up 50 cents from last year, because I sent you guys a picture that I bought in the first 3 last year. So even better, they've marked it up 50 extra cents, which I know it didn't cost them more than 1 extra cent to make them. So
yeah, absolutely
genius marketing on their part.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Just again, it's fun, and especially too, it's so Arkansas that they're far ahead of everybody else. Like it's I don't know, just they're crazy baseball fans, that's for sure.
Yeah, when I was at that same establishment last year, I ran into a guy. He actually gave me a koozie. He's like unofficial, that is the unofficial Arkansas bar at College World Series week. That's he brings
that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, so he's friends with the owner of this bar. He brings a bunch of koozies from his bar from Arkansas. I guess it's right up near the stadium there, near campus. And so, yeah, so that's mainly why Arkansas has such a commanding lead, because that's where all the Arkansas Razorback fans hang out. Then. Yeah. So anyway, little inside baseball there.
Absolutely. All right. So with that being said, we will start talking about Macon's favorite topic to talk about, which is some NC State football recruiting, baby. So we'll start off with this beautiful graphic right here. Yeah, buddy. That again, I'll need you guys' help, kind of, tell me some of who these guys are around Lex Thomas. But for those who are listening in on basically it's a tweet from Lex Thomas saying, "Wolfpack Nation, let's make this come true," and it has the eyes emojis, and it's basically this graphic that has Lex Thomas and a bunch of different, I'm sure, high profile recruits around him. So Macon, Michael, Greg, any insight on who some of these guys are?
I'll start with who they are. So you got, so I think in this picture, I think at this point, the only two commits I see, maybe unless one of them is Obasuyi, the offensive lineman guy, is Lex Thomas, who's the guy in the middle, white guy in the middle, number 2, I think he's holding. And then I think it's Cissy, Cissy, the cornerback on the far right, I believe. It's like his number 0. But so he's basically, the whole point of this tweet to me was that this was the whole point of this tweet, picking this one, was that this was a big recruiting weekend for State when it comes to football. We've been having camps the last 2 weeks. And I just think this year, if you follow it at all, you're going to be able to tell that this is a very loaded class State is going after. And if State can have the season that they are anticipating on having, this could be a game changer for the football program. And the guys you see here, I mean, if you want the specifics, Kevin Concepcion, I think, is number 1.
Yeah, he's on there.
Noah Rogers, who was this whole weekend following that whole crazy stuff on Twitter. And then if you follow any of Pack Pride or Inside Pack Sports or Wolfpacker, that was crazy. The inside information there. You got Dalen Smothers at running back. You got CJ Jacobson. I think it's CJ. That's tight end in the black jersey in the back. It's just, there's a lot of guys here that are like 4-star. Some of them are 3-star. Like Noah Rogers is like a very high 4-star receiver. He's fringe 5-star, if you will. And Dalen Smothers, running back, 4-star running back from Charlotte. So I'm pretty sure one of those guys is Isaiah Shirley, defensive end from the mountains area. I think, but regardless, this is just a bunch of really good recruits that we're going after, and I think it's just fun to me. This is like, to me, this could be a really big building block class, a game-changing kind of class for the program.
This could be like a Bradley Chubb, B.J. Hill type class. One of those but next level.
These guys didn't even have the stars.
That's what I was going to say. It's like we didn't know that they were going to be as good as they were. These guys, obviously, it can go both ways. Some players might not
you had that
live
class,
up to their rankings,
I think that class you had Bradley Chubb, Naeem Hines. If I'm not mistaken, maybe they're different classes, but I think you have B.J. Hill, Contavia Street, Bradley Chubb, and Justin Jones. I think all from the same class. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I would more compare it to like Pac 15, where you had Naeem Hines, you had Reggie Gillespie, you had Darian Roseborough, you had
those had more stars. You're right. That had more stars.
Like that one was a more star-studded class. But yeah, no, I mean, it's good to see we're heading the right direction here. I mean, for sure, and also too, I mean, like seeing a guy. I know there was a 5-star athlete that was on campus. And dude was jacked. First of all, that dude's a beast. Just from the look of him.
Oh, you talking about Jonathan Taylor?
Yes, that's him. That's him. Yeah, but again, but again, it's just really cool to see us actually, really in the talks. Like, and it's not like we have like with Will Shipley, where like we have to be like basically the alum for the father and the mother to really be in the conversation. Like this is just some recruit that just is a 5-star, one of the most touted recruits in the country, and yet he's considering us just based off of our brand that Doran has built, Doran and staff has built, and on just the football team alone. It's not like I have like a poll per se, like the Will Shipley had. So
I think it's very possible you could see all of these guys commit to State, which is what's crazy to me. Like you could. I don't know who's the least likely in this case, but it's very another guy on there I think is on the far left was Nathan Leacock, I believe. He was a wide receiver. They never whatever. He's got double digits there. I think that's Nathan Leacock. He's a guy who's they're all in a very high likelihood to commit to state or in states like in that top 2 or 3. So it's very interesting, particularly with Noah Rogers and some of these other guys like Dalen Smothers. You're going NC State versus Oklahoma for Dalen Smothers. There's top 2 or whatever he put out publicly. Then you have, Noah Rogers. If you followed this weekend on Twitter, it was all like a battle between NC State versus Ohio State to get visits. And you're talking, teams who have won or played in the college football playoff that are
sometimes multiple.
You're going after the same players they are. And it's not like we just offered this guy and it will circle back to him if our main guys don't commit. These are like guys like I know that Ohio State just took a 5-star receiver commitment from Carnell Tate. I think the guy's name was. They still want Rogers. Like Rogers is legit. So if State were to land any of these guys, it's a big deal. I mean, I don't know. I love recruiting. I joked to the guys I was texting. He's like, just inject this straight into my veins.
I know.
Yeah.
My phone was definitely blowing up with Macon this weekend with all his takes, and I'm here for it. I definitely have gotten more involved in the recruiting just because it's one, I'm doing this with you guys, and two, it actually is kind of fascinating to follow. And there's just so many different news angles and like things are always happening. There's so much information out there, whether it's IG on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. So there's always something happening.
And I texted in the group too about Lex Thomas, who's like one of the, I think he was the first commit of the 2023 class. He's brothers of Drake and Thayer, and the importance of offering Thayer a walk-on spot. However, 5 years ago was that? Turned into a very big deal.
That had played, and you had no idea it would play that big of an effect.
No clue.
So, no clue. The pipeline they've created.
Even just face value, you got Thayer Thomas, and he ended up being a stud player for you. Just face value on that alone. So, I think too, you're learning with the NC State coaching staff. They are one of the best in the country at developing players. That's why you see states had to target the 3-star guys and some 4-star guys. They would, but they will love 5 stars all the time, sure. But they're all probably going to the Alabamas or Ohio States or whoever. In this case, state's able to recruit and develop these guys, and if they can just get the talent that through the same mold, I really think you're going to see some really, really awesome achievement with this recruiting class coming down in a few years.
Well, I think it goes to your point too. Is like if you look at the last, I think it's like the last 8 or 10 drafts. Other than Clemson, I think State's the number 2 team putting out NFL talent. So that in and of itself, you start saying, okay, how can I get to the league? Oh, wait, this school is putting out talent to the league. Maybe they're doing something. Sometimes the record isn't always indicative of it. But these guys' goals are ultimately to get to the NFL, right? I mean, if they can win a championship along the line, great. But it's all about getting to the league and making that money.
Yeah. Well, because also too, I would say, one of the biggest pitching points I would say right now is that, obviously I think that most players understand that us winning a championship means a heck of a lot more than Clemson winning an AC championship, for example. So right now we're on
right now. Like I think Clemson winning the championship they did back 10 years ago, whatever the first one was recently. I think you would have the same effect as NC State winning one now.
Sure. No, of course. Yeah, no. So but what I'm saying is that we're on that kind of breaking point right now. So meaning that if these guys can jump on right now, they're remembered forever. While if you go to Clemson, it's just another guy. So because obviously too, like these recruits don't want to come for an experiment. They want to know they're going to get a ring. They want to know that they're going to have a chance in the NFL. They want to know that they're going to get a great education. If that's what they value, which they can right now for sure. But one of the things too that I think that is quite interesting for especially this weekend alone is just as a reminder that high school recruiting to me is about what you want, is about what staff wants to get, while the transfer portal is for what you need. When you need to fill holes, you go to transfer portal. But these guys, again, are not necessarily guys that, like, it's like a make or break kind of deal. It's like, hey, if we can get Noah Rogers to come, then that's a beautiful thing. That is setting up nicely for a few years to come. But it's kind of a different way to approach it. But again, that's why I'm very interested to see. And I think that if Doran can land a guy like Noah Rogers, that that'd be a big get. That'd be a big get. So, because he's a stud, he's a proven stud. He's a guy that can easily come in and replace Devin Carter. Even
last time we got a 5-star,
Catavia Street.
Yeah, that's true. Street, no. And I believe Johnny.
Well,
Frazier
he was
fringe 5-star.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Frazier.
Well, so
Street was.
Well, so I remember the story that Catavia Street said was that when he was recruiting, because he was getting recruited by basically it came down to Ole Miss and NC State, that he was a 5-star, but then once he committed to NC State, apparently rivals or whatever took away that 5th star and he went down to a 4-star. Yeah,
that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah.
So I also think the 2 other 5-stars I can think in recent memory, if I remember correctly, were Robert Crisp, the tackle from Athens Drive High School.
He was 100%.
And I think Mike Glennon was a 5-star, if I'm not mistaken.
He was too. Yes. Yeah. No, he was because he was Under Armour All-American. I remember watching him play in an All-American game. So, he was. So those were 2 for sure. And then Johnny Frazier was borderline 5-star because he was actually in the conversation. Like he was in one of the top 4 spots in terms of running backs in the country, which that didn't quite work out. But and then Catavia Street, which I would say it worked out, but just again, unfortunately, there's only one quarterback to tackle, and so unfortunately, Chubb would get to him, every single time before Street could. Right. So, but anyway, though, so now we're gonna move on to a fun one here. Got to give a shout out to our guys at the 2-Man Wolfpack podcast with a tweet. This is the tweet of the week, no doubt about it. It was.
And you know what's funny here? They just admitted on Twitter that they got hacked. So somebody from a Carolina site put the Carolina icon and changed their name to Carolina Football for like a few days, apparently. So that was hilarious.
I thought that was a joke, though, when they did that.
I think
that's a joke. Why would they do that?
No, because I just saw 2-Man podcast said apparently we just learned we got hacked or something like that, and they updated their profile picture or something to that effect. Hashtag 3 hours ago. Hashtag new profile pic appears we were hacked by an account Chapel Hill over the past day or so. We missed anything. So that's what they tweeted out. So that was kind of fun.
I think that was tongue in cheek.
Good cover. Yeah. Good cover. I like it. I like it. Yeah. But no, it's still because genius to change your, because for those who are listening in, it was basically 2-Man Wolfpack podcast. What they did was they changed it. Because you can't change your hashtag, but you can change your name just by like editing your profile. So what they changed their name to, which is in bold on the top, it changed it to Carolina Football, and then they changed their profile picture to the UNC Football logo, and then it says "Happy Father's Day, Dad" at Pack Football, and then it has the world famous Emeka Emezi catch picture, and it blew up, and rightfully so. Got to give a hats off. Got to give props where props is due, and hats off to you guys. That was a genius tweet right there. Hilarious, great little poke. So. And I remember even I remember seeing, I think it was either yesterday or today, that Annabelle Myers, the head communications person for football, actually tweeted out saying, "I love social media," or whatever it is, and basically quote tweeting that and saying that was hilarious. So hats off to you guys for that all American of a tweet right there. So
that was good.
Not all heroes were cakes.
Yeah. So moving on, one of the other tweets I wanted to get to. So for those who haven't seen, A. David Hale joined basically put out this just like essay of a tweet thread, which basically just like it's ridiculously long, but basically talking about every single football position, so like D-line, offensive line, quarterback, etc., and then breaks down every single team within the ACC and then ranks them. And tiers them as well. And so basically pulling out 2 different parts right here. So This was tweeted out 5 days ago, basically saying, for those who are listening, saying NC State's defensive backfield was very underrated last year and returns 100% of its 2021 snaps. Wolfpack were second in yards per attempt allowed without QB pressure. They were third in success rate on obvious passing downs, blah, 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 and did it all well. NC State and Duke were the only ACC teams who fared better in yards per dropback in zone than man, and basically pointing out how Shaheem Battle and Derek Pitts were two of the top rated or statistically best corners in the ACC last year, which again is just a huge breath of fresh air for me, first of all, because again, I came during the time, Dorn's first year in 2013, through those years when our pass defense was just absolutely
or whatever, they were
terrible. Just
someone call it Swiss cheese.
Yeah, no, literally, it was Swiss cheese. It was bad. Our pass defense was terrible, and then here we are with literally the last couple of years, we've had amazing pass defense, and now we got everybody back for this season. And me saying that reminds me of the Jimmy V quote where he goes to the Iona College, and they lost every game, and he goes, "Yeah, but we have everybody back from that team. But this is even better. This is even better because we got everybody back from a great team instead of poor Jimmy V's not so great team."
Plus Cyrus Fagan, who was hurt in the second game of the season.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
The linebacker, I think David Hill, he ranked NC State has the number one linebacking core and the number one defensive back core, a safety and corner in the ACC this season. Not to mention we bring back on defensive line, Durden and Clark is going to come back healthy with an improved Josh Harris, and I can't remember who the other pass rushers are, but
Savion Jackson.
Jackson.
I think he'll be pretty good. He earned the right to wear the number 9 this year, which is the Mario Williams Bradley Chubb number.
Yeah, that's what 9 this year.
Yep.
Well, and rightfully so. He should be.
Yeah, and then also they had I know people ranking Tony Gibson top. I think he's number 4. I think Big Boomer, whatever, ranked him as number 4 defensive in the country. It's a fan opinion, but it's that's really interesting and very telling. So,
and rightfully so. Again, I mean, it's because we didn't even talk last week about the Athlon Sports that came out with the first, second, third, fourth team All ACC players or whatever, and they have 13 players on that list. But the one which actually was shocking, and what was actually shocking to me was they had Drake Thomas first team All ACC, and then they had Isaiah Moore in fourth team All ACC, or honorable mention basically. And again, I understand that again injuries have a lot to do with it, which is why, for example, Peyton Wilson was on that list. But I don't know, like to me, it's almost like I would have rather, I don't know, just because again, Isaiah Moore being fourth, it's like, okay, come on now, seriously. That's
he was a favorite. He got hurt halfway through the season. At that point, he was playing like the ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
Before the Boston College game, he was up there for a favorite for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. So just saying. But Greg, what were you saying?
Yeah. So speaking of this right here, talking about, he said obviously it's more complicated. I don't know if you saw, but Drake chimed in. He says, "I'm taking my guys versus whoever you want to stack up against us." And he did the question mark.
And then I think On3, the new Rivals kind of account thing, I don't know how that really works, but they ranked Drake Thomas number 3 linebacker in the country, period. And I'm like, people are just totally forgetting how good Peyton Wilson is and Isaiah Moore. They're just totally forgetting that. And that just blows my mind. We thought going into the season, Peyton Wilson was number 1, and then, I guess Isaiah was number 2 probably, and Drake was number 3. Now we're saying Drake's number 3 in the country. What does that say about Peyton and Isaiah? I mean, I know they were injured, but geez.
Well, and if it wasn't for the way Drake stepped up, obviously, he had to shift over positions, but he didn't miss a beat wherever you put him at. So you can play him Sam, you can play him, weak. He just goes out and tackles. He reads plays. He had 2 interceptions. That's something that folks are forgetting about. So you can drop him in coverage. He's a good coverage linebacker.
Pick 6, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah,
right?
he had a pick 6. That's right. Both of them scored in that game. But I think that was I can't remember. Yeah. I know both Thayer and Drake scored in the same game. But where I was going with that is you can just put him wherever you want and plug him in, and he's going to perform. He's not intimidated by the moment or who he's got to go after. He just gets out and plays, and he's a gamer. I mean, that's just how he's one of those heart and soul guys that you want on your squad because he's going to take care of business.
Yep. Well, because it kind of goes back to this. It goes back to this tweet by Clutch Sports Clemson saying, "There's no way you logically look at NC State's defense and then look at Clemson's defense and say NC State is remotely close. Clemson finished with the number 8 overall total defense last year with multiple injuries and no offensive help. They returned almost everybody. NC State finished 21st. And to that, I
also
say
had multiple injuries and returned more than Clemson returns.
Well, exactly. And on top of it too, because one of the things I really love about this team this year is that not only is everybody really talented, not only is everybody really experienced, but there is a ton of leadership on this defense this year. I mean, Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore, Peyton Wilson, Tanner Ingle, I think Cyrus Fagan, Shaheem Battle, I think Savion Jackson. I see Devin Van stepping up in a leadership role. So again, you have a lot of guys that are leaders on this team, and it's because the saying is defense wins championships. And to me,
they go down. Sorry, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You finish. I apologize. I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Well, again, just making the point that again, defense wins championships, and so
then fired up.
Yeah, if I can look at my defense and feel confident that not only is this an experienced team, this is a talented defense, but it's also a defense that has a lot of leadership that's going to fight through adversity, that's going to fight through tough environments, that's going to be focused and not be rattled by the environment. That's an ACC championship winning formula, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Macon.
That game at Clemson this year is going to be a good one. And
it's going to be. We're
not saying Clemson's bad. That guy was totally biased, and obviously, we are totally biased. But my thing is, like, they're both going to be really freaking good defenses, and
sure,
it is going to be a very interesting game. And Death Valley, I would put like Clemson at a 4-point favorite, probably something like that, 3 or 4. But I would say,
but again, no Brett Venables.
I think that because you give home field advantage, like a 3-point swing. So I think it's like a pick'em game virtually.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're looking at that tweet, I would give Clemson the edge on the defensive line. I think their defensive line is monstrous. But I would give our linebackers and this slight edge. They have good linebacking play.
Trenton Simpson is the real deal for Clemson.
And that's exactly the one I was going to reference. But overall, from all three, I think we're deeper in that position because we also have some guys chomping at the bit on the second team that are no joke either. Like
Hayden White, Jakeem Harris.
Yeah. So and then you look at
Taysom Smith, sorry.
So make him preach. It's all good.
No, I know. I'm just like that's like those guys had game. I'm pretty sure Jakeem Harris and Aiden White had game-sealing interceptions last season, 2 seasons ago. Aiden White picked off the Liberty quarterback Malik Willis.
That was 2 seasons ago.
And then, but he's had 2 years of experience playing and has started a game. And Jakeem Harris, pretty sure he sealed the Louisville game, intercepted Louisville pass in the game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And then the thing I was going to go is our defensive backs and our safeties are really, really very good. So I would say we're slightly better on defense. But we'll see when they start playing the games.
Yeah. But again, I want to
Joshua Lewis. I'm done.
But again, I want to point out Benjamin's comment saying that there could literally Benjamin Orman basically said there could literally be an argument for Isaiah Moore, Peyton Wilson, and Drake Thomas to be the top 3 linebackers in the country, and it's a case. Now I know the linebacker for Clemson, he is the real deal. I think he has definitely a case for being up there in the top 3. But I'm just saying though, again, that I think let's put it this way: I think that whoever you put as our 3rd best linebacker is hands down the best 3rd best linebacker in the country, like the best number 3 linebacker in the country. Whoever
I get that's the distinction. He's the best number 3 linebacker.
Correct.
Right.
For a team in the
country. The 3rd option linebacker, he's the best in the country, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And probably a lot of cases, except for, some of the elite teams, our 3rd best linebacker is probably better than their 1st best linebacker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, easily.
I want to add this too. Again, talking about second string linebackers, Jalen Scott and Devin Betty are no joke either. So it's like
No.
I think if you're NC State and you're looking in the season, the concern would be, if there was one, who is going to be the pass? Well, I'm not talking about defense.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, I think it's pass rushing because I don't know. I think that's something
we weren't very good at it last year.
So I think you're going to. I think there's still some answers there, and I think that's partly where they're looking for Savion Jackson to step up. And I wonder if you get CJ Clark back from health. Can you slide Corey Durden to the outside, like where he thrived at Florida State?
Get Josh Harris rolling finally.
Josh Harris also stepping up, it looks like. So, that's the only thing I was going to say there too.
Absolutely. So Benjamin Orman though asked a question. We won't talk, too much more here. Again, we need to jump on to other topics. But he asked a question: who's going to be the backup QB, Ben, or the transfer we bought in, Jack Chambers? I
honestly think that's an open competition.
That's an open competition. I think Jack Chambers and because first of all, got to give a shout out to the Pack of Wolves. Make sure first of all you go check them out and join them if you haven't already. But went to the Pack of Wolves event and met a bunch of players like Peyton Wilson, who first of all said he's ready to get back to football. So that's all he told me that multiple times. He's ready to get back to football. But talked to Jack Chambers and asked him, is the idea he's going to be a Swiss Army knife? And he was like, that's the idea, and also too, I was wearing my bowl ring from the Bitcoin Bowl in 2014, and I was like, yeah, you guys are going to get one this year, but it's going to say ACC champions on the side, right? And he goes, no, ours is going to say national champions. I was like, oh, okay, I like it. So, again, I mean, I love, I love the enthusiasm. I love it. But yeah, I think that, I mean, Jack, he's an athlete. I think he's an athlete first, honestly. But
personally,
I think, go ahead.
I think it's going to be Ben Finley still to lose, but I think you don't bring Jack Chambers in for nothing. So I think it's going to be, I'm not going to say if you bring him in definitely to back Devin Leary up. But I think there's some opportunity there to bring him in on some select packages like goal line kind of thing, or short yardage even maybe. I think more goal line. And
because keep in mind too that Jack Chambers is an experienced quarterback. So it's not like you're putting a guy like Jalen McClendon, for Wildcat, where didn't have much experience. He could run Wildcat packages.
He was the leading rusher though for whoever Charleston Southern quarterback. Yeah. So he's got the build to handle running the ball too. So if you have a guy who can throw and has the size to run the ball, I think that gives you a big threat in the red zone, particularly short yardage red zone items. So
absolutely. Yeah. No, again, to me,
it can be great too, I'm sure, but that's why.
It's just tough because especially this year with how important this year is, you got to go with the guy that again, God forbid, again, I am like seriously knocking on some wood over here. God forbid that we have to rely, on, at any point on either Ben Finley or Jack Chambers. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to whoever we feel the most confident in that can handle the situation. Because every single game, every single minute, every single snap this year is going to be huge, 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 huge. Cannot make a mistake. And so if that's the guy that has the quarterback experience like Jack Chambers, so be it. But is it the guy that's more of, I say, a pure quarterback talent like Ben Finley is? And so be it. And he's a guy that's tough too. Again, I mean, Ben Finley is no, he's no, slop either. I mean, I think he's a great prospect. Yeah. I think next year, especially next year, he can compete with MJ Morris and those guys for a starting spot. Who knows what's going to happen with that. But it's going to be interesting. But so with that being said, though, we got to jump on over here. We got some other things to jump into here. So we're going to jump into Tuffy's Weekly Rewind. So here we go. All right. So that being said, again, we and first of all, got to remind everybody that we are officially 75 days away from facing ECU in Greenville, North Carolina. And I'll tell you, every single day that we get closer, I'm sweat. I feel like another drop of sweat dropping down the back of my neck, just because, not necessarily because I'm nervous, just because that is a huge game, man. Oh my gosh, I am like, please get us out there to win. I don't care if we win by 1. I don't care if we win by 50. Just please win that game. Just don't even do that to us. So, So, because specifically too, because of all the tweets coming out after they lost in the Super Regionals, like, so and such day is till September 3rd. I'm like, nope,
no,
I don't want you to look forward to September 3rd. We're looking forward to September 3rd, not you guys.
Yeah.
So, got to give a shout out to our track and field team and cross country team who earned a 4th place finish in the United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association Program of the Year standings. So basically, 4th best track and field / cross country organization, college organization in the country, which is the highest finish in NC State history. And obviously having multiple national champions, obviously winning the national championship in women's cross country, that speaks for itself. So again, got to give a huge shout out to that team, and again, just huge things to come for them.
I think the cross country team will be a favorite for the national championship again in the fall. They got a transfer from Tennessee, who was right up there in the 5,000 meters that Caitlin Tuffy won. She was right up there, I think, at the top 10 also, and she's transferring here. So,
Yep. And Alex Edge points out that North Carolina A&T took our sprint coach, and I mean, I think that at this point that we've kind of hit that spot, because it's not like last year was like a fluke. I mean, for the last few years, our cross country and track team has been getting better and better and better. So I think that that again, the coaching staff will just at this point reload, just like the rest of in-state athletics. Again, right now, in-state athletics overall is getting to that mantra of we're not rebuilding, we're reloading, and in multiple programs are doing that. So I'm not really necessarily worried about that, per se. I would say that for any other team. But again, one of the things which I also just keep in mind as well is that in all of this area where, like, first of all, like Louisville, is doing all this stuff with football recruiting, where NIL is taking like Jordan Addison to USC, whatever it is. All of our coaching staff is back from last year. Pretty much all of our players that could come back this year for football are back this year. They didn't transfer out. They didn't go to the draft. They came back. So it's clear that not only the culture in football, not only the culture in baseball and wrestling, the culture overall in in-state athletics right now, I think, to me, is top notch right now. One of the most top notch cultures in the country in terms of loyalty, in terms of commitment to the best here at NC State. So it's a great time. Again, we say this all the time. It's a great day. It's a great time to be an NC State fan. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, but also to got to give a shout out to our swimming team. So former NC State Wolfpack swimmers Ryan Held and Justin Rest helped the U.S. Win gold in the men's 4x100 free relay at the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. So, and also too on top of it as well, Nell Miller, who was one half of the doubles national championship for women's tennis, got invited to Wimbledon to compete in Wimbledon as well.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
That's huge.
And doubles.
Right.
Does she go with the question I had was, if it doubles, like, why does her partner not go? Jada Daniels, I think was her name.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly, I'm not
else.
really. Yeah, I'm not really too sure how that all works, but I mean,
I didn't.
It is what it is. But I mean, again, it's just cool to see again that it just goes back to, at the end of the day, it's so awesome to have a great athletic program. It's not like we're out, like we have like one great sport that just we live and breathe and sleep, like that's it. Like every single, pretty much every single day, except for maybe 2 months out of the year, you're looking forward to some kind of sport, whether it's baseball, football, women's basketball, wrestling, you name it. Like, there's always a sport going on, if not multiple sports going on that we're competing for AC championship or competing in the top 25. Like that's amazing to even mention. So gotta highlight that. But so Alex says insane school first. And what's up, Colby? Good to see you, my friend. So appreciate y'all tuning in here with us. But Greg, make anything to add on that, or jump on over and Tuffy's mailbag?
Nope, we just keep performing. I'm the one thing I am interested in looking at is the final standings, and I guess is it Capital One, I know they changed the sponsor every couple of years, but but the Directors Cup. I know that'll come out once baseball is done. So I'm interested to see how we finish and if it's going to be an all-time high, because I think we're right on the cusp of beating our previous record.
Yeah. Well, I would not getting in the tournament. That'll hurt.
That hurts, but yeah,
that's true. But keep in mind that baseball last year, again, I think they basically didn't get any points to the Directors' Cup because they got disqualified.
Yeah, that too. Stupid.
So they didn't get any points to the Directors' Cup. So we're going to get some points from baseball this year. And football, we definitely finished higher. Women's basketball finished higher. Wrestling finished maybe higher, but again, I would say
where I was going with that was with all the individual national champions, and I don't know if that counts part of the standings or if it's only team. I'm not sure how all of that works out. So, but regardless, we've had a great season in athletics, and we can keep it moving from there.
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely think next year we can be even better, no doubt. Especially looking at men's basketball. Men's basketball, I'm looking at you guys. Definitely going to get some more points in the Director's Cup for them next year. Benjamin Ormond brings up a point saying we need to get a rowing team, as Lake Wheeler here in North Carolina is hosting the ACC championships next spring. So definitely need to find a way to make that happen. So, Boo, if you're listening on this, which I don't know why you are, but if you are, then let's get a rowing team going, shall we? So with that being said, though, we will jump on over to Tuffy's mailbag. So with that being said, here we go. All right. So speaking of Benjamin Warman, so he commented, and first of all, anybody who is interested in submitting questions for Tuffy's mailbag for us to answer here live on the show, again, usually either Saturday or Sunday, we'll usually put out a tweet asking for questions. So if you haven't already followed us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, make sure to do that so you do not miss out whenever we put that out. So that way you can send them our way. So he asked the question of who in the offensive backfield will emerge this year besides Jordan Houston, and what could we expect from next year's baseball team? So again, we'll kind of take this obviously as two different pieces here, but first, obviously talking about the backfield. And I think that I first of all say that, I think that Jordan Houston this year, again, he's a guy that I think can be a multi-dimensional running back. But just as of late, he's been more used as basically a pass catcher. But again, I think a lot of it too really depends on how the offensive line does. I know that last year running the ball, we were, I think, next to last in ACC in terms of running efficiency. Yeah. So I think the offensive line, if we can improve there, that'll help us a lot. But I would say Michael Allen, the true freshman, I think he's a guy that can, if he can break out, even though he's a true freshman, I think he could definitely be kind of a filler. If Jordan Houston needs to get out the field, whatever it is, or he's a guy that could even. He's a guy that has the explosiveness to him that he can be a beneficiary part of this offense, in my opinion. Macon, do you have anything to add on that specifically?
I think one guy I didn't hear you mention him was that Demi Sumo guy. Everybody for like the last year or so behind the curtain essentially was like, this guy's like amazing,
mysterious Demi Sumo.
And he played someone on the spring game, and he looked really good when he played. And I could see physically and how he moved why people might think that. I said, okay, I can kind of see the flashes there. It's Jordan Houston's. If it's, I think, what was the question again? Make sure I got that right, Layton.
Who in the offensive backfield will emerge this year besides Jordan Houston?
Yeah, I think they're going to see different options. Who will emerge? That's a really interesting question.
I think you maybe see a lot more in Trent Penix maybe this year. Just being his last year. I think he's a lot more.
I think he's more over already at that tight end halfback role, like a Jason. I think he's kind of more in the pass catching role than he's running at this point. I'm not sure. It's hard to say Michael Allen because he's a freshman, like you were saying, but I think you're going to see some Michael Allen a little bit. I think you will see Demi Sumo. I think you will. I think in short yardage, maybe in the field. Maybe, I'm not short yardage. Unless it's like Delbert Mims, I think is more like a bowling ball kind of thing. So I think you can see he moved pretty well at the spring game. Was it this year or last year? I can't remember. I think it's this year. Pretty well too, if I'm not mistaken. So, if I had to bet who would be the backup, honestly, I'm just going to go off what I've heard. I'm going to go with Demi Sumo, and that's really just because of everything we've heard.
And I will say, I got the old college football magazines for this year here, and on the NC State page, it does say the rising star sophomore Demi Sumo played 6 games on special teams, but the 3-star recruit will be part of a committee at running back with Zonovan Knight and Ricky Person turned pro. Sumo's 6 foot, 210 pounds gives him an extra dimension as more of a power back for the NC State offense. Yeah. So,
and he can catch passes too. So at 6 foot, 200, and we said 210 pounds.
Yeah,
catch the ball, and he can move. He can run. That's a nice running back option.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then the second part to Benjamin's question, which is, and what can we expect from next year's baseball team? And I mean, obviously, the first big piece that we already have known about is Carter Trice, the transfer from Old Dominion, that is a utility guy, can play all over the field, and he's over 300 career batting average. So I mean, he's a guy that's easily going to jump in there into the starting role for us. I think that you still got the young guys in Peyton Green. And Cozart, that you love. You're still going to have Gino Griver. You're still going to have Dominic Pololi. You're still going to have most of your bullpen back. I think the only real guy that you lose, which is going to hurt, is I think I would guess that Chris Villeman's pretty much gone. I mean, it depends what happens in the draft, but I think that if he has if things go in the draft as is expected, that he'll probably go. I would say also too that I would more likely guess that probably Sam Highfield is going to come back. I know from looking at the drafts that he doesn't really have much draft stock at all. But again, do I think that he's worth it? Absolutely. But I just think that right now there's a lot of questions because obviously he's injured back. Yeah. So it's a lot of questions with him right now in terms of his injury. So
I'm going to add to this too. I think the fact that he was at that NIL event tells you what you should know too, because think about with why would he be at the event if he wasn't going to be around next year? I think about Tiquavian Smith and Darion Sebron. They had the Wolfies Awards, and Darion Sebron won MVP for the MVP award, and he didn't show up, and he didn't come out of school. I mean, and then Tiquavian won. I can't remember what the award he won was. It was a very nice award, but he was there. So he kind of, I think the tea leaves are there. I think, in my opinion, I think Sam's definitely coming back. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and basically, I think, without basically putting words in his mouth, is that at the end of the day, I think that why he did that is because more likely he expects that, he's not going to get drafted very high. So he's more likely going to come back. But I mean, because for example, I think around this time, Team USA, is going to get announced for the college athletes. And I know for a fact that his name wasn't basically put in there as an option. And that's because that if you're a part of Team USA, you cannot be draft eligible. And so, I mean, his name is going to be in the draft. So, So again, I think that more likely, I still say more likely you're going to get him back. And, you still got, options there. But I think, again, Avent and Coach Hart are synonymous with being great at developing talent. It's and also too with the upgrades, which are going to be started as of right now for the Doak Field. I think that, again, there's a lot of hype right now with NC State baseball even still. So I think there's going to be a lot of guys that want to be a part of it. Again, it's a great fan base right now. So again, I think, even with the loss of Tommy White and all that jazz, and I think with Logan Whitaker, I think he left as well, and some other guys that, again, it's going to hurt. But I mean, I think that we'll be able to fill the holes as needed. And I think we have enough young guys that we're going to feel good about it. Anything to add on it?
Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say, we had 9 in the transfer portal. We've only signed 1, so there's some movability there.
Sure.
A name to kind of keep an eye on is Noah Souls. He could get drafted fairly well. He could be a piece that we might have to replace depending on where he gets drafted. He's really the only position player that we other than the ones that have exhausted all their eligibility. So he's might be the only one that we might additionally lose. I was talking to Justin Cook I think yesterday or today, and he's what he's been seeing in the portal is we're going after a lot of speed and pitching. Some things that we desperately needed that we didn't have from this season. So there's still plenty of action to happen in the portal. So we won't know for sure what this team's going to look like probably for another, maybe 2 months. And then once they start heading into fall ball, when football gets kicked off, we'll have maybe a little bit better idea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's like we saw what happened with the men's basketball team. It's like, and if you would have asked the same question 2 weeks after we lost to Clemson in the ACC tournament, it's a totally different team now. So I think it's just kind of a little early to tell. But I think they're in a better spot.
I mean, again, the season's still going on. It's still a week, left until the college baseball season's even done. So again, I mean, there's no reason to panic whatsoever. Like, there's so many names to go after in the portal. It's like, just take your time. Like, it's all good. No need to rush it. So,
and I'm sure there'll be more.
So now, oh yeah, no, for sure. So Red Wolf tweeted, said, what's the biggest news coming from football camp? When will the groundbreaking start for the new baseball? When will the groundbreaking start for the new baseball stadium? And then love the show. Well, appreciate that, Red. Really appreciate that support. So I know we kind of at the beginning of this started talking about all the news coming out from the football camp, but besides the Noah Raj situation, one of the things I saw too was that there's the 4-star tight end put us in his top 4. Now the one question which I have for you guys is, do you think that it's very likely that we land another 4-star tight end, even though we already have a pretty high profile tight end or a guy that we're very excited about already committed to NC State?
So let me check you on that. 4-star tight end, Zach Myers.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, again, he's
that's a cornerback.
3-star. No,
Zach Myers is a 4-star defensive back. He's a DB.
Yeah.
There's been some tight ends that have visited state. Like I know
CJ
Jacobson visited this weekend, the official visit, and he's a 4-star guy, I believe, or 3-star. And then there's another guy named Jack Larson who did not visit this weekend, but he's a 4-star. I want to make sure that distinction was there. I didn't know which one you were talking about.
Well, because again, and maybe I'm wrong, but again, I'm fairly confident that we have it's a skinnier tight end commit to the class, but I could be wrong.
Oh, there's Vereen.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Javante Vereen, right?
I thought you were saying. Sorry, I thought you were talking about like recruit. I'm sorry, like he's I put the recruits like the prospects,
but he's a commit. He's not a recruit. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying but I'm saying that there's a 4-star tight end. Is the guy wide guy?
No, that's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's start over. Let's start this.
Yeah, I think we're talking.
Greg's throwing out names here.
And Vereen is committed to us. He's from, I think, New Bern or Havelock out there.
Havelock.
That dude is a real deal. If you go watch his film and you watch like the Twitter clips of him move and catch the ball, there's one clip where he's doing I think he was out at camp at NC State. He's right at the goal line. He kind of does like a little fake slant in to in the end zone, and then as he's slinging in, he just like throws the DB on the ground, and mind you, it's no pads, but he just throws the guy on the ground, and then he's like wide open, catch the ball, and it was like, wow. I mean, he's really fluid too, so he's really exciting for me. I think he's my favorite commit so far. He's just, I like him a lot.
I'm pretty sure I'm talking about the guy right beside Lex Thomas in the black jersey. I'm pretty sure that's who I'm talking about.
Okay, so that's CJ Jacobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he visited, and I think essentially for him, it's down to us in Utah. I believe.
In that picture that you just put up, number 11 is Vereen. So he's on the far left. It looks like that's number 11.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it could be 41, could be 11. Not really sure.
Yeah, it's hard to tell the numbers.
Well, regardless, So those guys. I think the big story. I think with all these camps, every year you see on Twitter. And you follow the Inside, which I will say, definitely go subscribe to Inside Pack Sports on 3 Wolfpacker, Pack Pride. They have good insider content. But I was going to say, like, you see a lot of the new offers come out. Some guys come to camp and they did not have an offer. They leave because they wowed the coaches. One guy was a running back prospect, Kyron Jones, I think was his name, from like the Charlotte area, and he didn't really have an offer. He came to NC State, or he didn't have any, I don't think he had any Power 5 offers. He hasn't committed to State, but he got an offer. And then I think the next day he went to Duke, and I was taking a camp there, got an offer at Duke. So oddly enough, the guy had an offer from Iowa State, which is like just put out David Montgomery and Breece Hall. I mean, it's a really nice running back school lately. So you see, that's what I think is interesting somewhat. But then the visitors to me were also really interesting.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's definitely an interesting game. Even what you hear with like some recruits, whether they're trying to decide if they want to use their official visit versus, staying as unofficial visit kind of deal.
You don't know. You only have one official visit.
Correct.
For each school. And you can have up to 5 official visits, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah. I was like, it's either 4 or 5, but yeah, no, that makes sense. So again, it's definitely a game. So, again, just like Macon was saying, if you haven't already got into football or basketball recruiting, all that jazz, make sure again to subscribe to either the Pack Pride, the Inside Pack Sports, or the Wolfpacker. And for those who are asking it or thinking it, no, we have no plans anytime in the near future, if not ever, to get into the recruiting world. We'll leave that to the full timers and the IPS and the
guys are on the field there at the practices all the time doing the interviews. They have all the because obviously we're just fans talking here, so we see
and they do it full time. We don't do this full time.
We're not disclosing any inside information from them, but we mostly talk what we see on Twitter anyway. So you can see what we're talking about on Twitter. It's just a lot of really interesting dynamic. I think the most interesting thing, like I said this weekend, you said besides that was the Noah Rogers thing, but that could Kevin Concepcion, that Zach Myers, the DB
what is his name?
Smothers.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him.
I saw a little headline clip for his interview with Pack Pride. Said he rated the bids at 10 out of 10. I think he's going to visit Florida State next.
Yep, that's the next one.
Yep. So it's just, to me, recruiting's fun because these are the guys that like you're watching them pick the school and end up being like Lamar Jackson or whoever, Bradley Chubb. Like it's the story of like Bradley Chubb was a 3-star linebacker. I mean,
right?
Yeah, no,
he was linebacker.
Was he linebacker?
No, linebacker.
I couldn't remember. And he changes into like one of the greatest defensive ends.
Or Garrett Bradbury, who was like a 2-star tight end.
Right. First of all, I think he was
1 star.
Yeah.
And he only had one major offer, and then he had UNC Charlotte came down.
And then he becomes something. So to me, it's the story. Like you think of these like guys who didn't get a lot of accolades, or maybe they did. Maybe they're like 5-star guys and just stay dominant the whole time. But it's that story of like watching these guys like become something, and then like Russell Wilson had NC State and Duke were his only offers, and he's a 2-star quarterback. Comes NC State, blows up, and now he's like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's just stuff like that that's really cool. And this is the starting point for those things.
The backstory of it, yeah.
Yep. And again, we can go on and on with examples, whether it's Brandon Bishop.
I've said enough about recruiting.
Hey, I'm just saying that again. I think it's a beautiful case we're making right now. That more people need to get into recruiting. More people need to help into recruiting as well. Because again, keep in mind that again, fans, that you may think I'm just a fan. I have no effect on recruiting. But again, recruits take everything into account. Everything. How
your
much
presence on social media matters too.
Yeah, it does. And if you're going to interact with these guys, and ladies in the women's sports, be respectful. Just, congratulate them on their choices. If they choose your school, great. If not, wish them luck and keep it moving. Because everything we put out there, and we've said it before, it affects future recruits. So don't be that guy or girl who's just dumb.
And because again, to transportal, you never know when that train might come back around. That's all I'm saying. You never know. So I'll keep that. And then to touch base real quick on with Red Wolf with the basically the renovation starts to Doak Field. I mean, I would assume as of probably now, I would assume they're probably starting as soon as they can because they have a lot to do and a couple phases to do it. So I know
they got baseball camp going on right now, so I don't know if they're playing on the field at baseball camp or at an auxiliary field. So,
well, sure. Again, right now it's probably just getting everything ready. You know what I mean? Sure. Like getting the materials there.
Where would that be? Do you think?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's some kind of auxiliary field. I don't think they.
Well, I mean, NC State has other baseball fields. fields, that just aren't, like legitimate, like, obviously we only have one Doak field, but there's other, fields that you maybe go elsewhere. But anyway, I'm sure that basically what they're doing is just getting everything ready around it. But again, who knows? We don't really have too much visibility into that. Ben Orman did bring up that there was some showcase games that were played there this weekend. So again, unfortunately, not sure, but again, they have a lot to do. So I'm sure as soon as they can get started, they're going to. That's all I'll say on that.
And this is going to be a 3-year project, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, 3 phases. Correct.
Yeah.
So when you say 3 phases, like all 3 phases will be completed by next season, or
no? I think 25. I think 25 season is when they'll all be done.
But I think it's like
off season is a
phase.
I got
a phase. Yeah, a phase. And if you want more information about too, I'm pretty sure the Pac-9 Twitter page still has that original tweet pinned to their Twitter.
Yep.
So you can click on that, and it has in there basically spelled out for you what the phases are. And so, but other than that, we appreciate, again, thank you all so much again for joining us. I really do appreciate you being a part of this. And again, every single Monday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., we are right here talking all things NC State. So make sure to make plans every single week to join in here with us. Again, you can join in on this conversation, ask questions, give thoughts, whatever it may be. And eventually here soon, we're going to have Kinsey here on the show with us. Please make sure if y'all might have Kinsey and her family and her prayers as they're trying to get her mama well. So again, our thoughts and prayers are with you, Kinsey, and the family. So definitely, if you don't mind giving some thoughts as well, we appreciate that, Wolfpack Nation. But again, we appreciate you all. We appreciate the support, and again, are excited for things to come. And again, make sure to, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified when we do go live, so that way you don't forget about it. And also, too, so that way you're notified whenever we release new NC State content. This week, we got a lot of exciting videos coming out. As we got both of the vlogs from the Pitt semifinals, as well as the UNC finals from the ACC championship, as well as we got our 2 interviews coming up with Big Game Boomer here coming up this week too. So again, a lot of stuff this week, so make sure to not miss out on that. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and as always, go Pack, y'all. We'll see y'all soon.